What's up, guys? Justin Morgan here, Carved Up Vegan Muscle. I had to take a video down. I put one up today, and it was talking about comparing science versus hard work. And I said some things in the video that, well, just flat out were not correct. I always go back and watch the videos, and I usually see things in them that I myself do not necessarily agree with. But this one had a lot of things in it that I misspoke or I overemphasized something, and I thought, nah, I don't really, this is not what I was trying to say. So I had to go back and just remove it. So tomorrow's video, tomorrow being Saturday, will be on the topic of comparing science, what the science says, versus just flat out hard work. So I'll just go ahead and leave it at that. But today's video, I had a really good discussion on the Vegan Powerlifting page, and I'm making sure I have all my resources up here to the left. So if you see me looking over there, I'm looking at some of these things. And the topic was what kind of gear, what kind of stuff you need to use to be in powerlifting. And I will say that during this discussion, if I say gear, it is not referring to gear suits or knee wraps even, or bench suits, because you know there's geared powerlifting and you actually wear suits. So like sometimes a bench presser in a bench suit, they won't even have enough lat strength to pull the bar down unless they have something 500 and 600 pounds on the barbell. So that's kind of something to be said for that, versus somebody that's raw. I've heard of guys, bench pressing 800 pounds in a bench shirt and then taking it off and not even being able to bench, 500, so 300 pounds less. So that's just some examples. Now, I am talking about is gear as in like belts, as in knee sleeves maybe, or wrist straps. Some people will put on wraps around their wrist to support them. And those are the things that I'm referring to when I say gear. So what gear is essential for you as a lifter and getting involved in powerlifting or weightlifting or whatever you're doing? And the answer is nothing. Nothing is essential. All of those things give you a competitive advantage. And I will argue with anyone that says that those are necessary or that they pay a huge benefit to the lifter. Yes, they may provide a training benefit in making you stronger at certain points, but no, they are not essential. And one of the arguments, well, first, I want to introduce you guys, those of you who do not know, to Paul Anderson. Paul Anderson was one of the strongest men of an age. He's probably one of the strongest men to have ever lived and walked on the face of the planet. Paul Anderson has been credited with a 1,200-pound squat, the legend of the 1,200-pound squat. And now the story is that he had two metal boxes on either side of a barbell, and they were filled with $1,500 worth of, I think it was silver coins or something like that. 1,500 silver. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 1,500 silver dollars. So $1,500 worth of silver. And this was like an exhibition, something he did at a casino where he put it on display as a professional strongman. Now, there is some debate about whether he actually did 1,200 pounds, but let's say he only did 1,000 pounds. That was still a raw squat with no belt, with no knee wraps, without even knee sleeves offering support. And I think he did it in dress shoes or boots or something. So even if, the math's off, which it isn't necessarily off, because I think the coins themselves accounted for almost 900 pounds of weight. If you do the math on that, on $1,500 worth of silver coins being in there, and then you account for, metal boxes that probably weigh a few hundred pounds, plus, the barbell that's running across, it's going to be, up in that 11, somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 pounds. And he was doing this multiple times per day as a show. The winner of if anyone could challenge him and come up and actually squat the whole thing, then they actually got the money. He would give them the $1,500 was the running things. So he's credited with a lot of different lifts throughout his time. Now, bear in mind, Paul Anderson never used any of the materials that I mentioned before. He never had a squat, a weightlifting belt. He never had any of those types of supportive devices. No wrist straps. He was a Olympic weightlifter for America. He represented America. He was, I believe, one of the last American gold medalists. They used to have the clean and press as part of the Olympics in addition to the snatch and the clean and jerk. So his best clean and press as a kind of strict press overhead was 408 pounds. Snatch was 335 pounds, and clean and jerk was 440 pounds. Those are very good lifts, if you don't know. So his best squat was credited as 1,200 pounds. These are unofficial lifts now. So his best bench press was 628 pounds, or 285 kilograms. The 1,200 pounds, for you that work in kilos, is 540 kilograms. And his best deadlift was 820 pounds, or 370 kilograms. And all those are raw. When he put on straps for the deadlift, he rigged up metal hooks, he actually was able to pull over 1,000 pounds in the deadlift, or 450 kilograms. So this guy is crazy strong. He is one example of someone who never used any of those supportive devices and was as strong as you could possibly be. So having said that, looking at some of the arguments, one of the arguments that came up is, this is a member of the Vegan Powerlifting page speaking, it is my opinion that if you want to grow as a lifter and be able to compete years from now without much injury, you will need at some point to do equipped stuff. Your hips and knees will only get you so far. They do not last forever. And I highly disagree with that statement because, number one, if you are putting on a belt and it allows you to have a 10% increase in your lift, which is common. Usually you get about a 10% increase in weight when you put on a belt versus when you are beltless. So if you are a 100-pound squatter, you put on a belt, you're probably going to get up to maybe 110 pounds. If you are a 400-pound squatter, you put on the belt, you might get up to 440 pounds. So you can see the heavier the weights get, the more that you are able to get out of a belt. And then, the same goes with some of the other equipment. Now, when you're talking about wrist straps, it doesn't actually make you any stronger. But when you unrack the weight, it gives you some kind of support so that the bar is stabilized. And if nothing else, mentally, that gives you some additional ability to move at least heavier weights easier. So I'm not saying they're bad things, but when we are talking about those increases in weight, it is a heavier, more taxing element on your system versus if you only use what your body's naturally capable of without the supportive gear, then it's not going to be harder on your body. It's going to be easier on your body. So that is going to be less stress on your hips, less stress on your knees. So I outright disagree with the concept that some of that equipment is necessary over the span of a lifter's career. I think it is absolutely the opposite. I don't have a study for it, and as my friend Scott Shetler said, I don't need a study to tell me that getting hit in the balls hurts. So that's it. Hopefully, if you listen to that, you find some of that reasonable, because I'm not really going to go into it much further than that, but that's just some of my opinions on it and where I stand on it. You guys take it easy, and I'll talk to you tomorrow in the next video.